Welcome back, everybody, to the Orange Bumper Podcast. I'm Philip Dixon with, of course, the Burt Myers. Today, we've got another special guest with us. It's already been here once. He's our first repeat guest. Is George Phillips. George, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to Citrusafe Studios yet again.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we've got a lot to talk about. Want to talk about the stadium season being over. Some people say, "Oh, I hate it." Some people say, "Thank goodness." I don't know which one Bert's on, but I'm just kidding. I know exactly which side of that Bert's on. And we want to also, a little bit later in the show, talk about Humpy Wheeler, one of the greatest promoters and track managers that NASCAR has probably ever seen. And George has a very unique relationship that has built for a long time with Humpy. But let's get into the stadium first. So, obviously, last race of the year, 150-lap race, start straight up, qualifying counts. The stadium as a whole for the last race of the year, I thought was very anticlimactic.
Yeah.
Well,
it was, and I've been on both sides of it. Brandon had enough cushion that he didn't have to race. He could ride. And I've been in that situation too. And so it kind of takes that drama out of it of what might happen. But, the goal, our goal is to win as many races as possible. And at the end of the year, if you win the championship, great. But I like the wins. I like the wins. So we won everything but the championship, basically. 5 wins, 5 poles, led the most laps, fastest lap, and finished second in the points because of a couple of DNFs we had that got us way back. Brandon and them had one of the most consistent years I've ever seen.
Yeah, they really did.
So, and they have very little mechanical failures and just really good team. But, hey, it's Bowman Gray. I can't think of many scenarios I haven't been through over there, but it's funny because he was talking about whether you enjoy it being over or not. It's so funny because at the beginning of the year, you're leading up to April, my dad and Philip and those guys, it's kind of like, maybe it's kind of like a young kid. School's getting ready to start and they got their new clothes and their new shoes and their new backpack and man, they're ready to go. And then Saturday night, you're like the kid that's last day of school. It's over finally, you know? So, even Brandon, I talked to Brandon a little bit about it and I felt the same way. I don't care what position you're in. If you're trailing, if you're leading, if you're fast, if you're not fast, by the time you get to the end of the year at the stadium, man, it's
exhausting. It's a grind.
You think about, there's not many tracks in the country that run every single weekend from April to August.
And the one weekend you have off, you're racing at
we have
Caraway
one weekend off so we go to Caraway. So, this year in a whole, we'd love to have won the championship, but really and truly, we had a great year. And I'm going to say this, and I don't know how people are going to take it. The people that take it the wrong way are people that are going to take it the wrong way no matter what. But year before last, leading up to last season, a lot of people said, "Well, we'll see. We're getting ready to find out just how good people's cars and how fast people are." NASCAR's coming in. NASCAR's taking over. And this year they teched more at Bowman Gray than I've seen ever in my career. They protested our motor, crawling under our cars, looking for stuff, power samples in other divisions. And last year we won 6 races and 6 poles in the championship. This year we won 5 races and 5 poles and finished second. So I'm glad those comments were made. It's cute that people assume because you're outrunning them that you're cheating.
Right.
And this is what I told Slate. If they accuse you of cheating and you're not, that's the best compliment you can get.
100%.
That's the best compliment you can get because they think you're having to cheat to beat them.
100%.
The flip side to that is I've kind of learned over my career, the people that cry the most are doing the most cheating.
Yeah, there you go.
100%. So it was there was times during the stadium this year it was very eventful. There was times that it wasn't. But Saturday night, we went out and practiced. Car was really good. Track. The last 2 races, the track's been the best it has been all year because we haven't had those gully wash rains all week long. And in practice, the car's really good. And I feel like we gave it away when we qualified this week. When I went into one, I had more front brake or less front brake on it this week than I had all year. When I got to one, it slid the front end out. And just to kind of give somebody an idea that maybe doesn't know, we have an adjuster in the car that can adjust front to rear brakes. As your rear tires get wore, you put more front brake on it because when you hit the brake and your bias is even and your rear tires are wore out more, it causes you to get loose getting in. So we run more brake to the front. So I have a spot that I set it when I qualify because you have 4 brand new tires on.
Right.
And so I had less front brake on it this week than I have all year. And when I went to one, it kind of slid the front end out because it had too much front brake. So I reached down, and you can imagine you're doing this.
Right, yeah.
And I reached down and I hit it one good time coming down the back stretch to put some rear brake on it. And when I got to 3, the front end just slid way out. I felt like I blew it and still ended up second. So to me, after the way the night went, I feel like that not getting on the pole is what cost us the win.
Yeah.
I mean, it's easy for me to say, the fish was this big. If we'd have been out front the way the car was Saturday night, it'd have been game over. The car that was leading has been around and has done it long enough that knew how to play good defense. And, they say sometimes good defense wins football games. Same way in racing.
Yeah.
He knew when to brake and when not to gas up.
Yeah. And
other than just cleaning him out, it was going to be hard to get by him. But like I said, it's Bowman Gray. It's Bowman Gray. So we can't have, you're a victim of your own success. So once you win at one time, anything else is a failure.
Right.
And we've talked about this before. That you feel like you're at a standard whenever people say you finished second and people say, what happened?
Yeah. Right.
So, that's a compliment too. So,
well, and one of the things you kind of stole my thunder on it. I guess you knew what I was going to ask. What was the increase in tech? And it seemed like at the beginning of the year, they started with the modifieds, and I kind of expected the other divisions would be like, okay, well, we're probably going to be next.
Yeah.
And then I know when the big 4-cylinder race happened, like guys that were traditionally winning showed up with completely different motors and then went back to the old motors after that. And then they go to the sportsman stuff. And I was watching an interview with Tommy Neal, and Tommy's been all year saying, hey, kind of like the same thing you are, hey, yeah, bring it. Put us all on the level playing field, and personally, I was happy to see it. I wish that they would put the same emphasis on not so much mechanical stupidity, but human stupidity also. Yeah. But
that's part of the show. They're not going to.
Yeah, it is. But I do think it's a forecast of things to come.
Yeah, I do too. Well, here's my we haven't really talked about it very much. I try to be politically correct, but I don't think I'm going to get out of bounds here. My only issue is, I'm going to give you an analogy. If you work at a job that you're supposed to be there at 8:00 in the morning, and you come in and you punch in at 8:00 in the morning, and you get out of your vehicle, and your vehicle says 7:55, and you punch in and it says 8:03, and your boss comes up and says, hey man, you're late. You say, well, the clock in my truck said 7:55. He said, I don't care. This is the one we're going by.
Right.
Okay. With that analogy, at Bowman Gray, they've been allowed to soak tires in the sportsman division since I was a kid.
Yeah.
Now, they might say no tire soaking, but every trailer you walk by stinks.
It's not a rule until it's
there
enforced.
are guys that soak tires for other people for a living.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. It's publicly known.
Right.
And they've always allowed them to do it. My problem with it was if that was something that they decided has become a problem, which is fine. And moving forward, we're going to do something about it. That's fine. They shouldn't have sprung it on them.
Yeah, they should have
said, guys, in 2026 or August, whatever.
Right.
Putting the hammer down.
Right.
This is what we're going to do. Motors, tires, whatever it may be. I know guys, I'll just say it. I'm not going to say names or numbers, but I know guys that have made the comment, I've been getting my back bumper beat off. And I'm not talking about modifieds. I'm talking about other divisions. I've been getting my back bumper beat off for years because I know what kind of motor they have. And I had a legal motor. Now I went and got a motor like they have, and now I'm running good. And now they're starting to check motors. Where does that leave me? Where does that leave me? And so that's what's tough about it is I've always asked from day one, and I'm sure you agree to this. Absolutely. You gotta just tell me what the rules are.
Right.
I don't care what the rules are. I don't care. Some of the stuff we've had happen with cars getting turned around backwards and then they put them back in their spot, and then cars that don't get turned around and then they take their spot away. Just tell me what the rule is so I know how to play the game.
Right.
That's all I've ever asked. And so that it makes it tough whenever you spring it on them and do it in the middle of the year. But I think to answer your question, in the modifieds, we didn't have it. I don't think we didn't. I know we didn't. They didn't have any tire samples taken in the modified division. But in light of that, we buy our tires directly off the truck,
Right.
and they spray them and mark them and kind of mandate the situation. In the other divisions, they bring them from home. So maybe that's why we saw some samples in the other division. I think 4 Cylinders did a tire sample one time this year too. But anyway, modifieds, they've been checking carburetors every week. Even if you have a seal on, they come by and they double check the seal and they poke the top and they make sure it's right. So they wanted to climb under my car the other night and check for some stuff. I said, have at it, but don't single me out.
That's right.
Check everybody else. And so they kind of went around and checked. I think they did top 4 in the points. I'm good with any of that.
Well,
I'm good with any of that.
I know there were a couple guys throughout the season that had drive shafts they weren't supposed to have.
Right.
And I liked the way they handled it. They said, hey, look, if that's illegal, you run it, you win, you get protested,
Right.
you're going to lose.
Right.
Well, and that was, to me, that was kind of the warning shot over the bow.
It
hey,
was.
we know about it.
It was.
Don't come back with it. We know you're at the track now.
In their defense, and I even defended the guys that had Eagle, because we didn't. We had the right drive shaft. I even defended the guys that had, one was aluminum, one was carbon fiber. Mm-hmm. It's supposed to be steel magnetic drive shaft. I defended those guys. I said, look, we've never had a drive shaft rule at Bowman Gray before. If you're going to have one, that's fine. But you need to say, hey,
Right.
This is what we're doing. And so there was a point during the year where I had some questions about some things. I said, there are several things that I can think of that might be on my car or might be on somebody else's car, but it's stuff that we've done from day one. I want to know. Here's my thing. I didn't want to get caught with something that I didn't know was wrong.
Am I inbounds or out of bounds?
Right. And so I made a list. And so they addressed a lot of those issues of things that were on that list. That's all I asked.
Sure.
Just tell me what the rules are. Just
Well,
tell me what the rules are.
I've always felt like, it was my same attitude when I was a trooper. Like the NASCAR official's job is to change behavior, not penalize.
Right.
So give an opportunity to change behavior.
Right.
And if it's just ignored, then penalize.
Right.
And
as long as it's pre-race.
Right. Yeah.
If they'd have popped up after the race that night and found an illegal drive shaft and threw them out, that would have bothered me.
Yeah.
I don't care. Because like I said, I was right. But even if it was another guy, that would have bothered me.
Yeah.
Because we've never had a rule on a drive shaft.
Right.
But in the same sense as that, they've never had an issue with tire
803.
soaking on the sportsman
it's like
cars
you
that
said,
they threw out. So
it's like you said, clocking in at 803. You know,
it's I think you're seeing a transition, and in NASCAR and Bowman Gray's defense, there is a transition there that you've got the group that's been taking care of Bowman Gray competition and promoting and all that for 75 years. And now that NASCAR's coming in with their group, there is a transition there of, okay, you've been doing this. Okay, are we going to keep doing this or not? So there's a thing there that's just like the deal with fans coming down on the start-finish line.
Yeah.
We've never had an issue with that. Yeah. We have people come down, they get their picture made. And
I mean, we had a driver get punched in the gut by some woman one time. But,
exactly, right? Yeah. So, but my point to that is now they have a sign-up, and they limit how many people can come down. So there's a balance.
And they are changing it gradually. They didn't come in like gangbusters.
Right.
And just try and clean house and, hey, we're here. Like,
right.
Everybody knows
it's a job I wouldn't want.
No, me either.
It's a job I wouldn't want.
Me
and the only thing that I don't like change. I mean, we're old school. We're the same age, so we don't like change. And whenever you see things start to change, you question it. You're like, man, I don't know. It's been working pretty good so far. And then after the change happens, you're like, okay, I can.
The anticipation's always worse than the end result.
Yeah. But it's I'm curious to see what's going to happen next year. I hope that there's some clarity in what they're going to change or not change, so that guys are not caught off guard.
Well, and I did see where John Dell had an article, and I didn't read it because I had to pay for it. No offense, John.
Yeah, right.
About their, a potential change with the promoter next year. So, again, change is evolving, and difference never wrong. It's just different,
right?
And sometimes we have to adjust.
Well, it goes back to what I said. I don't care if Mickey Mouse is promoting it.
Right.
Give me a set of rules and a set of procedures and say, this is what we're going by.
Right.
And then leave me alone. And then if I step out of that, that's my fault.
Sure.
But I don't want to step out of something not knowing that I'm stepping out of something. You know what 100%. I mean? And that was why I presented them with a list. Look, I know that this guy's got this, and maybe I'm doing this, and this guy's got this. This is stuff we've always done. Please tell me right now,
Right.
is this good or bad?
Right.
Aluminum fuel cell cans was on the list, okay? 90% of the cars over here got aluminum fuel cell can. The NASCAR Whelen modified rule book says steel magnetic fuel cell can. Smart, Tri-Track, everybody in the whole country other than the NASCAR modified series, including Bowman Gray, run aluminum fuel cell can. So they allowed the aluminum fuel cell can. I didn't want to win the race, and then they put a magnet on my fuel cell and say, whoa, wait a minute.
Right.
Rule book says it's got to be steel. They'd have me dead to right.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
They'd have me dead to right because the rule says right here. So that's the tricky part about Bowman Gray. There is no Bowman Gray modified rule book.
No, there's not.
Does not exist. They tell you they go by the NASCAR Whelen modified tour rule book with some exceptions. Can I please see those?
Right. If you get that list, please let me know.
Yeah, right.
We'll start holding our breath. It'll be a beautiful shade of blue.
It'll be like finding the ark.
Right.
You know what I mean?
We are Citrusafe, where good grilling is made better. We have prided ourselves in being the industry pioneer for safe grill cleaners. Our citrus-powered grill cleaner spray paired with our nylon bristle brushes is all you need when it comes time to clean your grill. We strive to not only save you fuel, but also avoid the dangers associated with ingesting metal wire grill brushes. Citrusafe is available at major retailers nationwide from Home Depot, Lowe's, Ace, Walmart, and many more. We also are available online on Amazon.com. Citrusafe, great for all grills.
Anyway,
We talked about a potential promoter change, and that kind of leads me into the passing of Humpy Wheeler. And Humpy Wheeler, for anybody that's been around NASCAR for any amount of time, knows that he was commonly referred to as a P.T. Barnum of NASCAR, an outside the box thinker, innovator, and I knew him just from my time on the Highway Patrol working all the Charlotte races. But George, you have a very unique story to tell because you and Humpy were really good friends. And, you're 16 years old?
17.
17. Sorry, I missed your birthday. Happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
But, that's kind of an odd friendship, for most people. When did you first meet Humpy Wheeler?
Well, I met him when I was 12, and we had a guy that knew Humpy, and he got us connected, and I went over to his house, and he had an old Hudson Hornet and had an old Legend car out in his driveway. And right when I met him, I'm really into old school NASCAR stuff, and he's all into that too. So that's how we got connected, and we got hooked on talking about it. And I'd keep going over and over to his house, and I wouldn't just go and stop by for about 10 to 15 minutes. I'd go for like 3 to 4 hours, and he'd even turn on races that we could watch. He turned on a race from 1951 at Langhorne, and we would watch that, and then we'd talk about different drivers because he had a lot of connections because he worked at Firestone a lot, and he had connections with all those drivers, and he has all the behind the scenes that you can't find anywhere else today.
Well, one of the things that I found so interesting, and it makes sense why he was so good at what he did, is his life was so diverse. A lot of people don't know about his boxing background. He was, I think, 40-2 as an amateur and was wanting to go professional, but then he found out he was in the same weight class as Joe Frazier and Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
And said, I might need to find a
different job
career
there. Yeah.
Did he ever talk to you about his boxing or any of that stuff?
Oh, absolutely. And he even inspired new boxers to come in. Like he wouldn't just didn't end his career with boxing. He had his whole life, racing and boxing, because he would still be in boxing when he'd be in racing.
I know his goal was to try and make the 1960 Olympic team, and was working towards that. And then when that didn't work out, and for modern day kids, it's strange that you can be like, I'm gonna try and make the Olympic boxing team. Well, I didn't quite work out, so maybe I'll just go pro. And then you win 40 fights, and then you realize you might have to fight Joe Frazier or Muhammad Ali. So you're like, you know what? I think I'm just gonna take a football scholarship instead.
Yeah. Because he played football at South Carolina, and the way he told me, his coach was really, really hard on him. During the practices, the coach wouldn't even let him drink water.
Yeah,
that was common for us.
They were
I think we were told you win a game and then you can have some water.
Right.
No, those guys back in the day playing football with Humpy and everything, those guys were tough guys.
Well, did he tell you about why he quit playing football?
He had a back injury. So when he was playing football at South Carolina, he was playing against the Army. And one guy hit him here with the helmet, another guy hit him here. and that's how his back got hurt. So that ended his football career.
He was a paraplegic for 6 months after that.
Yeah.
And was able to find the strength and everything else to come back from that. And so now he's almost been a world-class boxer. He's played high-level college sports, broken his back.
Right.
You know, lived to tell about it. Now he's looking for his next adventure.
Yeah, and then he started promoting races at like Metrolina Speedway and dirt tracks all around North and South Carolina. Yep. And he had some of the craziest, but also some of the best ideas that a promoter could ever have.
I know he was with a track down near Gastonia that I think's closed now. And then, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't he have his hands in with Darlington at one point?
He did. He went to Darlington a lot, and he'd meet some of the drivers. Like, he'd hang out with like Cale Yarborough and all his friends down at Darlington because he had a lot of connections with the guys that lived down there.
Well, so when you follow the history, like with Charlotte Motor Speedway, and it was owned by a group, and then Bruton Smith came in and was a minority owner, and then once he kind of forcefully took over Charlotte Motor Speedway and became majority owner, first person he called was Humpy Wheeler.
That's right, because Bruton Smith knew that Humpy Wheeler was great at promoting races all across North Carolina on the short track, so he wanted to get a step up and promote at Charlotte Motor Speedway. So he started in 1975, and ever since 1975, Charlotte Motor Speedway has just been a really, really great place to watch races because you knew a lot of the fans came for Humpy Wheeler.
Right.
Because of what he did before the start of the race. Like, he'd have school buses lined up, and he'd get a ramp and have an old car just jump over a bunch of school buses, have a big slingshot and put a person in the slingshot and fly him off. He'd have the military even come down on the infield.
Yeah, I mean, it was a true show, and I think that, you know, we see some remnants of that.
I'm thinking that as you're
at the stadium.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, because when I first started going to the stadium, it was 45 years ago, and I remember being 6, 7 years old and just seeing the races. And then as I got older, especially when I went in the military, and I would come back and catch like a race a year, I would notice that either it was fireworks or then monster trucks and
skid races,
demolition
stuff,
derbies, you know.
Yeah.
And so from a marketing standpoint and a PR standpoint, like you look at the night the monster trucks are there, the night of destruction, there's just as many little kids there.
Oh, yeah.
And then they get hooked. And that's a generational thing. They keep coming back. I mean, it's genius. And so Humpy started out like really his true business era with Firestone.
That's right.
Firestone tires.
His best stories are from Firestone. So one time, Humpy was down at Daytona. This might be 1970. He was down with Buddy Baker, and Buddy Baker was tire testing with Firestone. And Buddy takes a couple laps, and he was running about 200 miles an hour. And then he came in, and then he went out again and was running about 198. And Humpy said, "Well, Buddy, why'd you slow down?" And Buddy said, "There's a seagull down the backstretch." And Humpy said, "Yeah, right. There's no seagull down the backstretch." And Buddy's like, "Well, Humpy, come on, get in the car, and we'll see if there really is a seagull on the backstretch." He got in the car on the floorboard, holding on to the roll bars, and he was the one closest to the wall going 200 miles an hour with Buddy Baker on the backstretch at Daytona.
Not this guy. Not this guy.
I've heard stories about that. My dad anytime you used to see the Goodrich car on a commercial, my dad was driving it.
Really?
So whenever they went to Atlanta, if you remember, I remember it because of my dad, but there's a commercial where it's the Goodrich car, and it comes up so close to the wall and sparks fly up.
Okay.
You remember that commercial?
Yeah,
anyway, my dad was in the car, and he got so close to the wall, they had a thing that shot the sparks up, right? But they went and they would check the right side of the car because they thought he hit the wall. That was in Atlanta, I think. And my mom was down there with him, and she ended up getting in the car with him. And he goes out and does 180 mile an hour with her in there holding on. And yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
You could do that stuff back then, man.
Yeah.
You can't get away with it now.
That was before lawyers
Yeah, right.
ran everything. Well, I know that when Humpy came on with the Smith family, they were able to generate somewhere between $3 and $5 million for renovations. And back then, I mean, $3 to $5 million is still a lot of money, but back then it was three times, what it is now. But they made a lot of improvements down there, and like you were talking about, some of the money they spent went towards entertainment, but they also changed infrastructure. And it got to where, so the Coke 600 now was the World 600.
It was.
And he was able to build that so that it was the second highest attended sporting event ever, second only to the Indy 500. And they would hold 170,000 people there. And I remember that. You're too young to remember it, but you remember when they had the stands all the way around 1 and 2?
Oh, yeah, they had them all around
all the way
1
down
and
the
2.
back
Yeah.
stretch.
When we were
Yeah.
growing up, most cup races were close to capacity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Back
And
in-
then you had special events like that
Well,
blew
the
it out of the water.
you've probably been to the Speedway Club. I don't even know
Yeah.
how many times.
Yeah.
That was one of his things.
Yeah.
You know, and I remember when I was with the Highway Patrol, you know, we would during race weekend, we would get down there. We'd go through our muster and everything, and then we'd all get certain traffic posts to work. And this one year, I think it was 2006. I had to go back and look, but I was at what we called the condo gate, and it was the road had a little place that veers off, and you could go to the condos down there. And it was very clear that, you know, that's not for average people. Like, you know, if you have a condo, that's somebody. So make sure that they have the right credentials. Don't let, you know, Johnny Rotten Crotch down there to go down there and do whatever. Make sure they belong there. So I'm standing there, and the car comes in, and guy rolls his window down and says, "Hey, sir, how you doing? You know, I just need to see your credentials." And he shows them to me. Yep, great. He said, "Let me ask you something." He said, "What do you think about all this?" I said, "Well, this is a massive undertaking." He was like, "Well, but do you think it's efficient?" No, I didn't know I was talking to Humpy Wheeler. I just thought it was an older guy that lived there, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I said, "Well, yeah, I mean, I do, but, you know, if I had to drive a race board in the pen, I'd probably draw some stuff up different." He was like, "Oh, okay." Well, traffic starts backing up behind him. So he goes on down there. And about 15 minutes later, I see him walking up the hill to where we are. He says, "Hey, Trooper, can I talk to you for a second?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "My name's Humpy Wheeler." And I was like,
That's when you realize
well, but
it was Humpy.
like, as highway patrolmen, they scare the death out of you not to create complaints, don't make people mad, be good stewards of the organization, represent the state really well, you know. So I'm thinking, all right, great.
Go unnoticed.
Yeah, all I know is like he swings a big stick. Okay, that's all I know. And I was like, "Yes, sir, absolutely. You know, what can I do for you?" He said, "Well, I was just curious about what you said you do different." And I was like, most people would have just kept their mouth shut. But, you know,
I just meant that I'd change
Well,
that
but,
sign right there.
you know, the thing is,
It's
you know, with
something
me,
simple, right?
if you ask my opinion, I'm going to give it to you. So I said, "Well, you know, if it was me, this road right here is fine, but there's way too much traffic. It's not safe. There's too much of a risk of a pedestrian getting hit, which then turns into lawsuits, and then it turns into bad press that nobody wants for you or us." And we keep talking. We kind of, you know, talk about little details. And he was like, "That's all very interesting. I appreciate that." I said, "Yeah, no problem, you know." So he walks off. The next year when we come back, that road that I was telling him about was now a private road that the state, that the track owned. And the city had built an entirely different road about 200 yards running parallel to it.
Yep.
And I got there and I'm looking around. I'm like,
I did that.
no, I wasn't going to say
Yeah,
that.
he did.
I
Yeah,
wasn't
he
going to
did.
say that. I was like, wow, like that dude actually listened.
Yeah.
But the thing is that's why he was so successful.
He was.
Just a regular, you know, ditch cop like me. He takes the time to say, well, maybe he's got a good idea.
And
he listens.
he takes the time with, I mean, a lot of people. And he the biggest thing about Humpy is he was respectful to all the people, and he took his time and just the way he approached it was, I feel like it was probably the best way to do it.
Well, he and what you got to see in a more intimate setting than most people that are watching this is that how genuine it was.
He was.
And if you treat people as equals and you listen as much as you talk, you can get a lot accomplished together.
And he wanted everybody to have fun, like everybody in the stands. And he'd take people that never really seen racing before. He'd take them around in a car and just take laps around the speedway because he was so generous. And what he did for the sport just changed it completely.
Well, and he was involved also with IndyCar. He brought
Yeah.
IndyCar to Charlotte. And one of the things that I read that I found really interesting was when there was that fatal wreck down there with the IndyCar, and there were 3 people in the stands that were killed, and there were, I think I might have these numbers wrong, I think 12 people that were pretty seriously injured. He developed on his own basically an aftercare group that tended to the families of the people that were killed and the people that were injured to make sure they had groceries, to make sure they had transportation to and from the doctor's offices. And that was, I mean, everybody knows a lawsuit was going to come, right?
Yeah.
And I think there would be a lot of people that would say, oh, well, they're just trying to mitigate a lawsuit. No, I don't think so. I think this was just how he was. Like, he saw somebody that, he was involved with, and as a result, not his fault, but as a result, that
Just did the right
relationship,
thing.
somebody got hurt, and he
Yeah.
had the resources to take care of them and did that.
He did.
And there's a lot of, businesses that are run by people nowadays that would completely circle the wagons and would not even think about doing that. And it's the humanitarian part of it.
He thought about things and did things that people couldn't even do. Like he changed it completely. He had some of the craziest ideas, but when he accomplished something, they all knew it was Humpy Wheeler because he had a big impact.
The thing I take away from that is listening to, because this is all cool for me to hear too,
Yeah.
right? Because I don't know a lot of this stuff. Most promoters would go into a room with suits and ties, close the door, and say, okay, what do you guys think we need to do better? But Humpy took the time to talk to people that it mattered to.
Well, and
Because the people in that room that I would be talking about are the people that are looking at their checking account.
Mm-hmm.
He's looking at the people who are going to enjoy the experience. And how can I make it safer? How can I make it better? How can I make it more entertaining? So he asked people on the street, asked troopers, asked individuals, helped people. So to me, that's a testament of why he was so successful.
And even
he
some
cared.
Talking about all the fans loved him. Sometimes when he was a promoter, he would jump in some of the races. But I'm going to tell you right now, because he was boxing too, he got boxing and racing confused. So he thought you had to go out there and hit everybody. One time he caused a wreck so big that people were jumping all on top of his car, and guy got on top of his car, right? Got out of the car and said, Humpy, I think one of us has to quit, and that one of us is not me. And you know who that was? Cale Yarborough.
Really?
He told Humpy Wheeler that he would, because he was such a great promoter, he said, I think, Humpy, you should just promote races.
Yeah.
Because he would wreck and tear stuff up, but he loved
That's
it.
one man that Mike could give him a go for his money was Cale Yarborough. Now.
You're not
They
lying.
ended up boxing it out.
You're not lying.
Because Cale Yarborough was a boxer too.
Yeah.
I believe that.
Yeah.
He's got forearms like Popeye.
And a football player. They both were.
Well, and that, I mean, they both found their calling after that.
They did.
Unfortunately, it took one of them to have to let the
Quit,
other one
you had
know.
to have to quit driving.
But one of the things he pioneered was in '91 the Musco lighting, and at Charlotte, night races were not
On
really
a mile
that
and a
big.
half, you couldn't really do them.
Yeah, and he had
Tracks
the forethought to bring in the Musco people, and they worked diligently on it, and provided a spectacular product that's used now. I mean, I think. I could be wrong, but all of the tracks pretty much use the Musco lighting. I mean, they've kind of set the standard, and he was directly responsible for that.
Right, and that's how he got it started. So the All-Star race wasn't getting as much publicity as like the World 600, and they were gonna just scratch it off the schedule. But then Humpy and a couple of his buddies went up to Winston-Salem to R.J. Reynolds, who was at Winston, and the head guy was T. Wayne Robertson. And Humpy said he gave him 10 ideas how to make the event better, but then they said, we don't care what ideas you give us. It's done. It's dead. It's over. And Humpy says, I want to do qualifying at the dirt track. Or he said, I want to get a big spinner and invert the field. And his ideas weren't going anywhere until he finally said, T. Wayne Robertson says, well, I don't like any of your ideas. And Humpy said, well, I just gave you 10 of them. He said, well, I don't like any of them. And he said, what about we run it at night? And that lit the whole, it lit everybody up. And he says, well, how are you going to do that? You don't got no lights. And he says, well, I don't know how, but we're going to. And it was, I think, maybe September, October of 1991, and they were going to do it in 1992. And they found Musco lighting, and then they got started on the project. So for 1992, the All-Star race was called One Hot Night.
Yep.
And they had everybody in Charlotte come to that race, and that was like probably the biggest race in NASCAR history that wasn't a points race. Like that was just
Wasn't that when Kyle Petty spun at the start finish
with
line
Davey Allison.
and body slammed the wall?
And then
Yeah.
when Bruton did the lights, because they were doing the lights, he threw on the lights. Spark hit his head, and his hair caught on fire. And that's how they called it One Hot Night. And Humpy promoted One Hot Night, and
That's
that really
cool,
was
man.
One Hot
So the
Night.
Smith family might consider One Hot Night a little different than others.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I know.
That's crazy. I think that you hear stuff like that, and I'm a big fan of. And I tell Tommy, our boss,
Yeah.
sponsor, whatever you want, jack of all trades. Being the American dream is very different. Other than Dusty Rhodes, is very difficult to achieve. This company here is one of those. Humpy is another example of that. In this country, you have the opportunity, and the only thing that limits you is your imagination. And granted, he had a lot of time spent in PR and publicity with different companies before he kind of got focused in with racetracks. But he was always dealing with people, and he knew people, and he understood people. And your point, he listened to people.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result, we still today utilize a lot of the ideas that he had.
And he knew so many people. Like, I'd ask him about a person like that I maybe thought he didn't know, but he knew him right off the bat, and his memory was so sharp that he could tell me any race, the practice, the qualifying, because his memory was so sharp because he lived all those races.
You mentioned to me that he came to, I think, your first test.
He did
When
it
you
at
first started racing?
Hickory Motor Speedway. And so we were running, and all of a sudden we see this guy in this Mercedes show up, tinted windows and everything. He comes up, I'm like, who is this guy? And the track was like, hey, we got a visitor. He pulls up, and he pulls right up next to the late model I'm driving. And I'm like, who is this guy? Rolls down the window. All I could see was smoke coming out of the window, right? Humpy Wheeler had a pipe, and he lit up the pipe, and all the smoke was coming out. He says, George, come on, get in the car. I'm going to show you the line.
Uh-oh.
And I'm like, oh, is this guy really being serious? And I jump in the car, and he goes out there and shows me the line and everything about the track. Well, then he wants to take me home from the track after the test is over. So when we went home, we got on the highway, rubber and rocks were going everywhere because the Hickory is so rocky and rubbery. Rubber was going everywhere. The people on the highway were just thinking, what is going on with this guy? And that was the Hickory test that day, and that was definitely an eventful test for me.
Well, did you run his line, and did you run well?
I did. He said I had it figured out.
Well, if he says you got it figured out, I'm gonna say
He
that's probably spot on.
He's been there. He's been at Hickory a long time, so he definitely knows the line there.
Well, now, are you gonna do? You gonna have anything on your car, like in memoriam of or anything like that?
Absolutely, and I feel like the best thing would just get a little picture of him, put it on my dashboard, because I always put a Bible verse there. Maybe put the Bible verse there and a picture of Humpy right beside it.
Well, and if you don't already know this, as you get older in life, that relationship that you have with him, you will take so much from different things he said and done that it might have sounded like a story at one point, but he's actually teaching you about life
Yeah.
going forward. And that's every man should have somebody other than their father out there that can have an impact on them. And I think you're just extremely lucky to have had that relationship with him. And I know that when he passed, that was hard for you. I know you were racing.
It was very hard. I found out on the way back from the track, and I saw him 4 days before he passed, and something told me I had to go see him, and I'm very, very glad I went.
Well, what a lot of you all don't know is that George and Humpy were scheduled to be on the show today. Humpy apparently watched the show and wanted to talk about some old times with the old Myers brothers. And just to have his recognition and wanting to come on the show is very humbling for us, because we know how many people watch the show, but as we sit here just talking, it's just like three guys, but for him to take an interest and for you and him to want to come on the show, and that was very humbling for us. So I'm very appreciative of the relationship you guys had, because it's gonna be fun to watch you grow with him in your corner.
And take the legacy on that he
100%.
that he built and
100%.
keep building it.
100%. So I guess going forward, when is your next race?
September 13th, Toledo, Ohio, and that's an ASA Stars race.
Is that a good track for you?
Well, I have never been there, so I can't wait to see what it's like.
It's gonna be hero or zero. That seems
That's
like
right.
that's what always happens when you go to the first track, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like guys show up.
Hopefully it goes the hero way.
Right.
Yeah.
I
Right.
always enjoyed going to a new track.
Yeah, me
I always
too.
always
just
like
to
going
learn
to a
it.
new track.
Well, I guess like because you don't have bad habits or bad memories
Well,
or
you
anything.
just, I
or
don't know. I always
you don't know
felt
what
like
you'll
I adapted quick. And I've heard my dad say, it's going to sound arrogant, but I've heard my dad say that when I was younger and we would go to a new track with a smart tour or something, that a lot of the guys would watch my line and watch. And I think I'm a thinker.
Yeah.
Like I'm a thinker. I think about every move I make on the racetrack. And maybe that's why I adapted well sometimes. Not every time.
Right.
But I always enjoyed going to a new track because it was a challenge.
Yeah.
The challenge. You know, me and Ben have talked about before when somebody says, "Oh, you can't do that." Oh, you want to bet?
Yeah.
And Ben's talked about before, like if you had a problem, you had to go to a backup car, and they say, "Oh, Bert's in a backup car tonight." Watch this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, when I did that at Concord that time, I wrecked the
Yep.
primary car in practice, and I ended up starting shotgun. Finished second, was up to Ryan Priest's left rear at the start finish line. So to me, that's a challenge. So good luck, man. I hope
thank
that's.
you.
I've never been there, so
No. What's
that's,
after Toledo?
I think so we got another big run coming up in Pensacola, and then we got Winchester, the Winchester 400.
Right.
That's a big race,
Yeah.
and then the All-American 400 in Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay.
And those are real big races.
Do you want to call your shot? Which one you're going to win?
All of them.
Good
there
answer.
you go.
I'll
Good answer.
take them
If
all.
he said anything but
I
that,
knew
I was
what you were
going
gonna
to
say.
get on to him about it.
I heard when I first met Bert and we were somewhere and I didn't really like know him. I knew him as a driver, but I didn't
Yeah.
know him like as an
Like
individual.
this person, yeah.
I heard him say one time, and at the time I thought it was arrogant, but it stuck with me, and I've repeated this 1,000 times. Like, if you don't think you're the best, why should anybody else? And it's 100%. I mean, 100%.
And
right.
and that's even what David Pearson said, because he said, if you don't think you're the best out there, you're never going to win. And one time he told Rusty Wallace, and Rusty Wallace was like, "Yeah, Earnhardt's the best out there. I'll never get him." And David Pearson told Rusty Wallace, he said, "Rusty, if you think Earnhardt's the best and you don't believe in yourself that you're the best, he's always going to beat you."
Well, I got news for you. I've heard other drivers make comments about, well, you know, he's the best out there. I know I got you beat before we even hit the racetrack, buddy.
Exactly.
If you
Well-
think somebody out there is better than you,
You're not going to win a race.
then you're done.
We went somewhere, and it was a stacked field. It was probably it might have been Thompson, and it was like it was Priest and Teddy Christopher. A lot of big names were there, and I was like, Bert, there's some stiff competition. And he's like, yeah, I know it's gonna feel good to beat the best.
Yeah.
Like, why would you want to beat the worst?
It's like we talked about with Priest that day with Newman. And whenever we would go to a Bristol or something and some cup guy, Newman would show up and there'd be, man, Ryan Newman's here. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Smart races with Hirschman. Oh, I hear Hirschman's coming this weekend. Good.
Awesome.
Good. Because when I win this race, I want people to know I did something.
Yeah,
So-
that you beat one of the best. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, with you put out for your fans
Yeah, we did.
a vote.
I got voted
A
out,
vote?
man.
Yeah. Yeah, you basically got told
If
about
that doesn't show how loyal we are to our fans that are loyal to us,
100%.
I got outvoted because I wanted the blue car, the number one, and we let the fans decide, and the fans picked number two. And so that's what it was.
And
Wrapped,
not only did they
partially wrapped last night, and it'll be finished today. And
Not only did they
Yeah.
pick it,
it
they
was
overwhelmingly
yes,
picked it.
yes.
And if you guys missed it, Bert got 3 renders from SAG
From
Raps,
SAG, from Travis. Yep,
and
Yep.
who are they are phenomenal.
dude.
I mean, it just amazing.
it's funny. I'll tell you the story. So he sent the very first one he sent me was the purple.
okay.
And I was like, well, that's not really what I had in mind. What I had in mind, and I'll be the first to tell you and admit, I guess I can admit when I'm wrong, because this is exactly what happened, I guess.
No, you're just different. But go
Well,
ahead.
I wanted the idea of us going to Carteret County and going to Coastal Plains. I wanted a vision of if you're sitting on the beach in South Carolina or North Carolina, and you look that way and you look that way, you see palm trees, you see beach chairs, you see a beach ball, a sandcastle, sand and water with a
Yeah.
sunset. That was what the blue car. So the first one he sent me was the purple car. I said, no, that's not what I got in mind. Well, he was like, well, this is pretty bad. Why would you not want this? Jamie, all my guys are like, well, that purple and blue, that looks pretty good. And I'm like, yeah, but you understand, that's not what I had in mind.
Right.
So then he sends me the yellow one, number 3. I was like, yeah, but I want more blue with some sky and some water. So then he sends number 1. I said, that's exactly what I was looking for. That's exactly what I was looking for. So then when I start showing, before we posted it, and I start showing everybody, everybody's like, man, number 2 looks so good. And Jamie texted me and said, 9 out of 10 down here at RCR are saying the purple. I'm like, man, y'all don't understand. That's not what I want. So then we put it out, and it's 1, 2, or 3, and it's 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. And I was like, Tommy, I think we're gonna have to do the purple car.
Yeah, the fans have spoken. Fans have spoken.
But anyway, I don't know did you put it up, Devin? Okay, so listen, I'll be the first to tell you as well. Seeing the car, it's like when you see it, you're like, man, that's hot. It's just not the vision I had in mind, but it's not like I'm not happy with it.
Yeah, right.
It's not that I don't think it looks good. It's just not the vision I had. But the fans spoke and we listened, and it's going to be loud. It's going to be loud.
And their artwork is so precise.
Yes.
And the
The
color
material
palettes.
he uses and the application, it's top shelf. That's for sure.
I mean,
that's for sure.
It's one of those things, and I'm not a race car driver. I mean, if he wanted to wrap my 2,500 Ram, that's fine. But for people that want to take their artwork or their car design to another level, I mean, my God, like you got to look at this.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's a no brainer.
Yeah, and two, like I've always been a decal guy. I had a cutter at one time, and I used to do all my own decals. This was back before. You don't remember this?
Yeah.
We usually like this top right there. That is a big red one with a black one on top of it. If you printed that one right now, it would be, imagine a inkjet printer.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's white. The vinyl's white, and they run it through there, and it prints a black one with a red outline around it.
Yeah.
Back when we were doing decals, you had a big one with a smaller one, black one on the top of it. They layered it. And so I remember those days. So I've always done a lot of my own stuff. So whenever I see how the material has changed, back when I was doing it, you had to wet it first and then stick it and then squeegee the water out from behind it, because once it stuck dry, there was no getting it off. If you tried to pull it off, it stretched it, got it out of shape. This stuff now, you can stick it and say, oh, it's not quite right. And you just give it a tug and it pops right off, and you line it back up, and you stick it right back on. So his material he uses, and like you said, his graphics, he sent me the purple one. And then the day we talked about the other 2 designs, within 30 minutes, he had already had 2 more designs. So, I mean,
That's on point right there.
he does a good job, man.
No,
He does a really good job.
These 2 tracks this weekend, with them being beach tracks, I would tend to think they're pretty abrasive. Is that pretty accurate?
Coastal Plains is a little more abrasive, I think, than Carteret. But they're both, I mean, they're coastal tracks, and most tracks in North Carolina, but they're coastal tracks. So you're going to have a setup that is fast, but also consistent. You're going to have to keep the car in. Last year when we went to Coastal Plains, which was then New River All-American Speedway, we went too conservative, and we planned too much for the long run, that when we put our tire on, we just couldn't get going. The car was too tight and didn't have enough gear in it. So we ran like crap. I think we were 8th or 9th or something, but got a whole different approach this time, and we'll see if we can go down there and win at least one, hopefully 2.
Yeah, those tracks are really fun, because I used to run, because I have a place down there, and I used to run legend cars there and won a couple legend car races at both those tracks and a couple late model races. So those are really 2 great tracks. They're so much different than each other. Though. Man, yeah. Like one's like where you have to shoot off the wall and it's so flat, and then you got to hook that wall, and then others where you have to really wide arc it.
Yeah, at Carteret County, I don't know that you ever completely straighten the wheel up.
No, you're just turning the whole time.
You go in a corner like this, and then you come back to about here, and in a modified, you can barely get wide open all the way around there.
Yeah,
So is it going to be like Myrtle Beach used to be, where
not
like
that bad? There's nothing like Myrtle Beach.
I mean,
did you ever get to race there?
I never, but I heard that track was
gosh.
that track ripped the tires out.
It was, when you walk out on it, you could see the seashells mixed into the asphalt.
Yeah, it ripped.
You
rip
rub your hand over it and cut your hand. So imagine what it does to tires. There's nothing that's ever going to be. Florence is abrasive, and there's some tracks. Yeah, Dillon,
when we went to Myrtle
Anderson,
Beach,
but nothing like Myrtle Beach.
When you raced at Myrtle Beach the first time, and we went down there, I was excited about it, and then the race got started, and I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
But it was funny,
Yeah,
like to watch somebody decide when they were going to turn
It's
it on.
so much harder to race a race like Myrtle Beach than it is to go somewhere where you just run hard all night, because you can go faster. You know there's more there, but you have to be disciplined enough to not do it.
To save your tires.
Yeah, and there's been races down there where your leader's in the same straightaway. You're about to get lapped. And then next thing you know, you're lapping that guy because he went too hard. So those races, I love those kind of races just because you have to think and you have to be meticulous and
experience counts.
Know when to go and when not to go. And I've heard Jason. That's one of the things that really impressed me about Slate. And of course, he's my son. But when we went to Florence, the first race of the year, and Slate had never run a tour race at Florence. He'd run the 602 down there, but that's a whole different ball game. And next thing you know, Slate drives up to third and he's leading the race at the end of the race on a tire cycle run where he hadn't pit yet.
Right.
And to me, that was impressive because most rookies don't know any better. They just go too hard. Now, on the flip side of that, when he went to Orange County, he melted it down in 25 laps and didn't have anything left. But I love those races that you have to be patient and know. And I think I've said this before. The way I race it is I race the track. You don't race other cars at a track like that. You race the track. And in my mind, I think to myself, I'm going to run the pace that I know is best for me and my car. If that's leading, fine. If that's 10th, fine. I'm going to run the pace that I feel the best for the best result at the end of the night. So
with a race like that, and without giving too much of your strategy away, what's best case?
I don't know that anybody wants to listen to our strategy right now, the way we've been running on the Smart Tour, but we're going to turn it around. Here's the deal. We're going to turn it around. I'm not going to quit. We're not going to quit. We've taken some extra measures. I didn't mean to cut you off. We've taken some extra measures this time to make sure that we are, we went back to, and we've said this before, we went back to basics. Well, we might have went back to basics on this, but not on this. We went back to basics on this, but this has been doing pretty good. We went back to like 10 years ago, basics for what we know works on a modified. And we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We're going down there with what we know works. So hopefully better results.
What is best case scenario? And I'm asking about your change tire. Best case scenario, worst case scenario. Is it caution comes out at midway through the race? Is it caution free?
Yeah, kind of. So if you're just thinking about like, let's put a scenario that I'm leading the race. Okay, if I'm leading the race, car's pretty good. You'd like to see a caution around 60, and with the controlled stops now, you come in, you put a right rear on, and you roll lefts. Because with a controlled stop, you have a few laps and you have a little time to check your stagger. Back before the controlled stops, you couldn't lose a lap under caution, but you could lose positions on pit road.
Right.
So if we come in this order, no matter how long it takes me on pit road, we come back out in this order, the way it is now. So it gives you time to check your stagger. So a lot of guys would come in at the 30 stage break and roll their lefts right around in the back. And then whenever that caution came out at lap 60 or so, and everybody came in and rolled lefts and got a right rear, you got a right rear only, and you've leapfrogged and got track position.
Right.
The way it is now, you kind of need to be in the top 5 when everybody makes their pit stop, because everybody's on the same playing field and everybody's on the same strategy. So there's really no way to leapfrog somebody. You have to actually drive past them on the racetrack. So our goal usually is to be around the top 5 whenever everybody makes their pit stop.
Makes sense. With the late models, I know with a modified, you have to really conserve your tires. It's a tire management game at a lot of tracks. One of the things I've noticed, just because I'm at the Cars Tour with the drone, is like there's no conserving. Like as soon as that green flag drops, it's 1,000%.
Yeah, and it's a little different from the pros to the supers. I feel like you can get away with it. Get away with going all out or going really, really hard. Just in the pro, just to get away with it a little bit more. In the supers, you can, but you still got to save that tire for the end of the race.
Is that car real right rear sensitive?
Yeah, well the super has a lot more horsepower, so they can easier slide the tires because it has a lot more horsepower and it's more about throttle control, and it's can't really slide the tires in it because in a pro car you can because you just wham the gas, but in the super you got to ease into it a little bit.
Just so people know, correct me if I'm wrong, the super has more horsepower than we have, and you're on a skinnier tire than we are. So just to give people an idea, that's what he's talking about. Is I've seen that on races.
Still got to save the tire.
Yeah, that they've got a lot of horsepower and a little bitty tire, so that's why you have to, from what I've seen.
Yeah.
Have you given any thought to maybe trying a modified?
I have.
Not
I have actually.
not for
I
like
will-
job progression,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I mean
but
for
maybe give it a shot one of these days. Maybe at the stadium.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Don't let him camp out there.
No.
Your dad will kill us.
Yeah. You'll see the
I'm
moat
doing
getting
my
built
best to get my
around you.
son out of there. You don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe pick one and come and do it, and then promise you'll
Yeah,
never
or
come
even a
back.
Saturday morning or something.
Yeah.
Get you over on Saturday morning, run some laps on a Saturday morning
Maybe
practice or
take some
something.
practice laps.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, you'll love it, I promise.
Oh yeah.
Listen, I've
Just
driven.
get flat and get on the brakes.
I've driven late models, never driven a super late model. I've driven a super modified. I've driven truck, late models, cup car. There's nothing like a modified.
Yeah, yeah.
Nothing like it.
Yeah.
There's nothing like it. So
George's dad asked me at the track Saturday night. He said, "Says Bert ever driven a super modified?" I said, "As a matter of fact, he
about
has."
4.5 laps.
You ought to talk to him about it. It ended up in a blue flame.
Yeah, boy.
But,
now, that would have probably been. That's not giving a super a fair chance because I didn't
yeah.
get to
Yeah,
experience
yeah.
it. But the first 4.5 laps were that thing when you hit the gas with that wing, it felt like somebody mashing down on the back of the car. It just
Yeah.
and you wide open and you got the motor hanging off the side and the right rear tire about this wide. I mean,
Drive shaft between your legs.
yeah, it was, dude. It's the motor's sitting beside you.
Yeah.
It's sitting beside you, and that's what happened. I think is that it's got a throttle cable like a lawnmower's got. It's got a cable or a dirt bike's got, and I guess the cable stuck or something, and that's why the throttle hung. But I didn't give that one a fair chance. But
Well,
my wife won't let me do
Yeah,
that.
and
so.
like talking about like late models and modifieds at small tracks, maybe like Bowman Gray. Imagine those like when at Bowman Gray started. Imagine driving those modified Sportsmans, like those old coupes.
Oh, yeah.
Like, yeah, and those steering wheels were like
Oh, yeah,
ginormous.
no power steering.
Think about
yeah.
yeah, think about driving those cars.
Yeah,
Those
on
just-
street tires.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah.
they're just
what-
different.
well, what did you think about your first trip to Bowman
Oh,
Gray
I
this
loved
past
it.
weekend?
I got started.
You can't hide that enthusiasm.
No,
I mean, you can't.
I knew the Madhouse episodes were on the History Channel, but I couldn't find them on the History Channel. So then a couple weeks later, I found them on YouTube. And then ever since I watched the first episode, I just get hooked on the show. And after I watch all of them, I told my family, I'm like, hey, we got to go up to Winston-Salem and go to the stadium, watch it at the Madhouse. And so we went for the final race, and it was definitely an experience. And I loved going there, and I can't wait to come back next year and
All
watch
right.
some more.
Fair assessment here, right? We haven't talked about this. So you watched the Madhouse series, and then
Yeah.
you came to Bowman Gray for your first time.
Yes.
The main question I always was asked is it really like that? Is the Madhouse in person the same as the Madhouse episodes?
It can be like sitting
Well, you
in
didn't get to see a lot of drama,
right.
but as far as the atmosphere,
Yeah. Oh, the atmosphere for
and
sure.
yeah.
But some of the drama in the Madhouse was like,
Well, you didn't go all year. If you'd have went all year, you'd have said absolutely.
Yeah, you guys got to see what can happen at the stadium. Everybody can race.
Yeah.
No drama, no stupidity, no attention whores trying to get clicks. Like everybody raced this past weekend, and I'm glad you all got
like
to see
yeah.
that.
Well, like when I was watching the Madhouse, I didn't know how intense the rivalry was between you and your brother against Junior Miller.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I did not know how intense that was.
Oh, yeah.
Like it didn't just last maybe about 2 or 3 races. It lasted the whole season.
It was the first
It was a
third
generation.
of my career was rivalry and battling with Junior.
Yeah.
He'd take me out, I'd take him out and back and forth. And Jason got involved because of our dad was involved. So yeah, I'm glad that you got to see Saturday night the way it was, because whenever you go to other places and you hear people bad mouthing Bowman Gray, they see what you see on social media. They see the clips on YouTube with the drama and all that stuff. There's really racing there. Guys
Yeah.
can race. Me and Tim Brown had how many restarts, door to door, racing hard side by side, and other divisions as well. So I'm glad you got to see. I know you probably wanted to see more drama, but at the same
And-
time, you got to see you can race
like
there.
real racing
You
at
can
Bowman Gray
race there.
Stadium.
Yes.
Yes.
And I've been to a lot of tracks where there have been some drama. I mean, like I've been to Franklin County before.
Oh, there's lots of drama there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of us have
Yes,
added to
yeah,
it. Some of us
yeah.
haven't.
Anyway,
You get to go back.
weather's
again.
nice today.
Yeah, it is. Well, I think that for somebody that runs such a unique schedule as you do, that I was really interested to see what you thought about the stadium,
I love
especially being such a historian that you are. being able to hear a lot of the stories and the names and this started at Bowman Gray.
There's
and all that
so
stuff.
many. There was I didn't realize there were so many drivers that were really good there. There are a lot of champions there too. And Billy and Bobby were champions there earlier in the day.
That was, I mean, it was the very first NASCAR sanctioned track.
Yeah.
Very first. And still racing today and still puts in 15,000 people.
And
it
where
was
else
packed.
can you say that? Where
It
else
was
can you
packed.
say that?
Yeah, I mean, you saw. I mean, would you say that was a crowd you'd want to race in front of?
oh yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
That's
mean,
what brings people back.
yeah.
It does.
Well, it's very intense. It's very. You're right there.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, here's one of the things so it's funny, Mike Norman came by yesterday and we were swapping some parts out and stuff. And we were talking about why we do what we do, talking about the money we spend, how stupid we are, right? So I said, we must be crazy. And he said, and Cody was with him. And I looked at Cody and I said, we do what we do from Monday to Friday so we can do what we do on Saturday. Okay. That's the fun. Working on the race car all week is not fun. Okay. When Kim says, what time are you going to be home? I wish I could come home right now,
right.
but I can't. I got to get this done. Now, my point to that is when you win at Bowman Gray, it makes it all feel worth it. You feel relevant. You feel like, man,
Because you've won in such a
look
you've
what
won in front of a crowd like that.
And you
yeah.
get out, and whether they're cheering or booing, they're making noise, and you get on the buggy and the flashes and the cameras and then the pictures, and it just feels exciting. And I've been to tracks where no slur on those tracks because it's not fair to compare other
Right.
tracks to Bowman
Yeah.
Gray. It's just not fair. I've been to tracks where I won the race and got out, and you could hear a pin drop.
Yeah.
You hear your people,
Yeah.
but it's just not that energy and that excitement. When you
It's
get out at
intimate.
Bowman Gray, dude, it's
Those
intimate.
fans that have been there like
Yes.
that long, I mean, that's what they do for a
Yeah,
living on
they
Saturday
live for it.
nights.
They
They
live
live
for
for
that.
Saturday
Yeah,
nights and
they
going
sure
to Bowman
do.
Gray Stadium.
they sure do.
What'd you think about the people watching?
The people watching in the stands, oh man, they like when I'd see a car get into another car, they'd stand up like they were ready for the other guy to wreck them. Like they were getting.
So I've been leading a race before, and then whoever second, the other guy's third. I knew when that guy passed the guy for second, not because of my spotter, but because of the fans' reactions. When I come off of 4 and I could see half the crowd jump up in the air like this, I knew something happened. And the spotter comes on the radio, it's all right, Jason's to second now or something.
Right.
So, you can watch the fans to see kind of how, what's going on around you. Listen, there's times where I wouldn't give you a nickel for it. There's times where I would rather be chopping wood than I had dealing with that place. But I've said before, and this is the best way I know how to say it, is I've had my highest highs there. I've also had my lowest lows there. But that's part of it. That's the part. If it was just steady and the same thing all the time, it wouldn't be Bowman Gray. It wouldn't be exciting. It wouldn't be. We won 4 in a row. We feel like we're on top of the world. We can't be touched. We were bragging, but we bring a brand new trophy in here 4 weeks in a row. And then next thing you know, we it's not that we suck, but our results were terrible.
Right.
And the atmosphere and the what we were going through, man, I was like, man, this is not fun anymore.
Yeah.
And then you win again, and you're like, oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. So that's what makes Bowman Gray is the inconsistency.
Yeah.
And I think their formula is what creates that. The inverts and the draws and the cone and all and not to mention you're running around a football field on a flat quarter mile. That's
like a guy can get the pole and draw 8th in a 25-lap race, and the guy who worked so hard to get the pole is stuck back in 8th in a short race like that.
On a 100-lap night. Did you see that thing jump up and hit me? Devin, you got my mic too close. On a 100-lap night, you can qualify on the pole and draw 25th.
And it's so hard to pass there because
Yeah.
you really got to give it the
Well,
bumper.
I will say on a 100-lap night, you have the cone. So you
To
can work your
choose
way
cone,
up.
yeah.
But competition is so stout now, and the cars are so good now. If you don't have everything fall just right, it's hard to come from the back to the front.
It is.
It is. Now, I've done it. There's other guys that have done it. But the last time I took the challenge, we had, 4 cautions the whole night?
Mhm.
We ran 40 laps without a caution. That's unheard of at Bowman Gray Stadium.
Yeah.
So I ended up only coming back to 7th. There's been races where I started 23rd and won the race because circumstances fell just right.
Yeah.
But on the other side of that, the The one thing that I dislike the most as a competitive driver is when you qualify on the pole, you win the first 25 lapper, and then you draw 16th out of the bag. And then you knock a front bumper and a rear bumper off and maybe get to 10th or 12th. And it just feels like, man, we had the fastest car here. We qualified on a pole. We drove away from the field, and now you're going to put me 16th?
You were supposed to
And the guy
earn.
that finished 16th won the second
the
race and
race.
got the same money, the same trophy, and the same points I did.
But his car's not tore up.
And his car's not tore up. But I understand why they do it. I've said to Bowman Gray Management several times, there's lots of stuff y'all do that I don't like, but I know why you do it.
Yeah.
I understand why you do it.
Yeah.
And we keep going back, so we must like it a little bit anyway.
We're the ones that check our common sense at the gate before we walk through.
Right.
Well, I'm glad you got a chance to come up. I really enjoyed meeting your dad. He's a cool guy.
Absolutely.
He's a guy's guy, obviously.
Oh,
And I hope that, next year, if we all in this room end up back at the stadium, you'll come back.
Oh, I'd love to.
For more. We can always use help pushing, pulling, and twisting. So, you might want to come in with a cane and a limp.
Maybe learn something from Humpy too.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Humpy's been to the stadium a lot too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Might need some boxing skills over there,
Yeah, because you never know what can happen at Bowman Gray Stadium.
That's right.
No, there's probably a fight tonight, if not in the stands, in the pits. But I'm glad
If
we
it's
got
not, it should be, right?
Fans are fighting too.
Yeah, it's not for lack of effort. But no, I'm glad we got you back up here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sorry that we didn't have the fourth seat filled. Circumstances that none of us could control. Just God
Yeah.
kind of intervened on that. And I'm sorry personally for your loss.
Yeah.
But I've thoroughly enjoyed seeing the energy that Humpy and his memory and the time y'all had together brings to you. Because every time you talk about him, you pipe up and you're full of energy.
He
And
is.
that's awesome.
And there's one more thing I want to add about him. So I was over at his house one time, and he had this replica of a Dale Jr. car. It was about maybe this long. It was from Whiskey River. It's from like 02, 03, 04 maybe. And Humpy had it in his backyard, and he kept running over it with his car. So, cracks and everything. It's been faded out in the sun. But then he decided he wanted to give it to me. And we tried to fit, my mom drove a G-Wagon, and we tried to fit this thing in the back of the car, and it wouldn't fit. So then we had to get one of my dad's employees to bring it over to his house. But then it's very special because I still have that
That's
car,
cool.
and I'll always cherish it.
Yeah, and that'll always stay in your family.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and those are the things that, and it's weird. You think like trophies and rings are your real keepsakes, but things like that are the things that are most important.
Yeah, like relationships with people.
Yeah,
But we've talked about
absolutely.
too, real quick, that generation, once it's gone, is gone.
Yeah,
And that's very sad to me. Because listening to y'all talk reminded me of Roy.
Mm.
Somebody besides your dad that you could relate to, that you learned from, and that was Roy for me. And there's today stories that I still remember about Roy, lessons that I learned from Roy. So I'm excited for you as you go on through your life. You'll always have those stories,
the
and you'll
stories
always
with
have
Humpy.
those lessons and stuff. Oh man, I remember when Humpy told me that. So it's cool. He might be gone, but he's not gone.
Well,
He'll
No,
be with you.
he's-
He'll
yes.
always be with you.
Yes, he will.
legends may be gone, but they're never forgotten.
That's right.
and that's kind of the rule for the day.
Yeah.
So, guys, I want to wish both of you the best of luck
Thank
in
you.
your next races. I'd love for next time we meet up to have an ASA trophy and a
That'd be
smart
awesome,
trophy right
man.
now.
That'd be awesome.
I think Tommy would like that
Yeah.
probably more than anybody in the room. But we got the second half of the season more or less coming up, at least for you. You're probably a little bit past halfway.
We got maybe 4 or 5 races left.
Yeah. So, I hope you finish out strong. Bring a trophy back. I'm gonna go ahead and call a shot. I'm gonna say you're gonna win Pensacola.
That's the goal. I really want to win there. I finished second there before, and that track's hard. You gotta. That's very line sensitive because if you miss the line by that much, that is gonna eat you up. So I really want to win Pensacola.
Well,
That's a goal. That's a goal of mine before I end my career. To win
I'm
at
calling
Pensacola.
Pensacola for you.
All right.
I'm calling the next Franklin County race for you.
So not this weekend. Thanks, Philip.
I
I'm
think-
telling you, that's real support right there, isn't it?
No, I'm just saying
I
I
know,
have
I
a
got you.
really
I
good
got you.
feeling about that track.
I got you.
I feel like you can win wherever you go.
Yeah. I got you.
It's just gonna be a matter of
That'll
if
be the
you-
one,
if your
huh?
changes hit it. this
You're right.
week,
I got you.
I just for some
Fair
reason
enough.
when
I
that
got
change came out, I was like, that's got Bert's name all
All
over it.
right.
So
Heck yeah.
I've called my shots. Hopefully I'm right. Hopefully there's more trophies than what I called. But as always, we appreciate it. You can always go to racefangear.com for all of Bert's merch, all of George's merch. I don't have merch, Slate's merch, Citrusafe Racing merch, and always putting up some deals, some new stuff, waiting on some new things to come in also. So always check in. We'd like to thank Citrusafe for providing us with this awesome studio that we're able to do this from. And, let us know where you're watching from, what you liked, what you disliked. We'll pay attention to 2 of those and not the third. But
I'm not going to say who, because I'm going to make a phone call to verify it.
oh, yeah.
But next week's guest, you're going to want to
Yes.
tune in. You're going to
Yes.
want to tune in.
We're not going to give it away.
I want to verify, because he did commit,
Yes.
and he said, yes, I'll be there. But
September's going to be good.
in that world, schedules and lifestyles are
Correct.
hectic.
Correct.
I want to make sure the third, right? That would say, yep, the third. I want to make sure he's still good to go, but you're not going to miss it.
Yeah, that one
gonna
will be
miss it.
fun. Yeah. So thank you all very much. We appreciate it. Let us know, again, what you like and dislike and where you're from. So we look forward to seeing you next Wednesday. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.